Amid escalating Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon and rising civilian casualties, disarming Hezbollah emerges as a pivotal yet delicate challenge for President Joseph Aoun. With the Lebanese President Army hailed as the sole guardian of sovereignty, Aoun pledges calm dialogue to address this contentious issue, amid Hezbollah's firm stance linking disarmament to ending Israel's military imbalance. As Lebanon navigates economic collapse and regional tensions, reclaiming state authority over armed tests both national unity and global diplomacy. I'm Rana Qasas. Welcome to Think Tank.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
Lebanese President Joseph Aoun said Sunday that disarming Hezbollah was a delicate matter whose implementation required the right circumstances, warning that forcing the issue could lead to the country to ruin. According to Al-Ahram Online, the Lebanese president reiterated that restricting the bearing of arms to the state is a so sensitive, delicate issue that is fundamental to preserving civil peace and requires due consideration and responsibility. His remarks came as Lebanon's health ministry said Israeli strikes killed 2 people in the south, the latest such raids despite a ceasefire. Additionally, Israel escalated its aggression on Lebanon by launching a ground invasion in 2 months of heavy bombardment across Lebanon, which resulted in the deaths of hundreds of Lebanese. As Israeli attacks continue, Israeli air raids struck the towns of Hawla and Kawthariyat al-Sayyed, killing 2 and injuring 2 more, according to Lebanon's Ministry of Health. As reported by the Palestine Chronicle, an Israeli drone had targeted a vehicle on the eastern Kawthariyat al-Sayyed road. Ambulances were dispatched to the area, while Israeli warplanes and drones were seen flying overhead. The newspaper added that Lebanon's leaders push for state control over arms, while Hezbollah insists on conditions before discussing a defense strategy. In addition, Aoun has reiterated that the state's decision to restrict weapons has already been made, but that implementation depends on prevailing conditions. Lebanon faces a pivotal challenge as President Joseph Aoun pushes to disarm Hezbollah, balancing domestic unity and regional tensions amid escalating violence and resisting rhetoric.
In light of recent statements by Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, disarming Hezbollah has emerged as one of the most complex challenges on his agenda. The president emphasized that achieving this goal hinges on creating appropriate conditions to consolidate weapons under the authority of the Lebanese army, the sole guarantor of Lebanon's independence and sovereignty. This vision underscores a national aspiration to restore state control over arms, but it remains fraught with geopolitical intricacies. Hezbollah's stance is clear. Disarmament cannot be discussed without addressing what is described as the Israeli military imbalance. With Israel's continued airstrikes in southern Lebanon and escalating regional tensions, Hezbollah views its arsenal as essential for deterrence against perceived existential threats. Recent incidents, including civilian casualties and attacks on Lebanese army vehicles, highlight the precarious security environment fueling Hezbollah's resistance narrative. President Aoun pledges to pursue disarmament through calm dialogue and government cooperation, reflecting a broader desire among Lebanese citizens who no longer seek war or internal strife. Yet, achieving consensus requires navigating domestic divides while mitigating external pressures from Israel. As Lebanon grapples with economic collapse and political instability, resolving the issue of Hezbollah's arms will demand patience, diplomacy, and international support. For now, Beirut's mechanism of calm communication offers hope, but only if trust can bridge deep-seated grievances. The world watches closely as Lebanon strives to reclaim unity amidst enduring conflict.
Providing more analysis about the most recent updates concerning the current situation in Lebanon and the various challenges it faces. Joining us from Beirut, Dr. Ahmed Younes, academic, researcher and political analyst, and Dr. Michel Shamai, I'm very sorry, political science professor and writer. Welcome to Think Tank, and it's a pleasure to have you both. Dr. Younes, how can Lebanon create the appropriate conditions for disarming Hezbollah while Israeli strikes intensify in the south?
Good evening to you and to your audience and to your guest. First of all, Lebanon must first secure a period of sustained calm in the south by working with international actors to pressure Israel to stop its cross-border attacks. So these strikes not only justify Hezbollah, what we call it, Hezbollah states, Hezbollah's continued armament, but also weaken the Lebanese state's ability to present itself as the sole defender of national sovereignty. So the Lebanese government should advocate for full implementation of UN Resolution 1701 and the total withdrawal from all the points that Israel had occupied after ceasefire agreement. Includes the disputed territories like Shab'a Farms and Kafar Shuba Hills. So the internal political consonance is crucial. The Lebanese leadership must engage in a direct dialogue with Hezbollah and influential political figures such as we have said before, the Speaker of Parliament, Nabi Berri, to launch a serious discussion about a national defense strategy. This strategy should aim to integrate Hezbollah capabilities within the state framework while maintaining Lebanon's security needs. So it will require building...
Dr. Younes, do you see, pair upon what you just said and your narrative, that it is easy and facilitated for all these parties to sit together and reach a consensus that is suitable for Lebanon and the Lebanese people and the civilians, and Hezbollah, of course, and the Lebanese, president, and all the parties, sir, among which you mentioned Nabi Berri, of course?
Yes. Yes,
it's easy.
It needs an internal dialogue between the president and the speaker, the parliament speaker Nabi Berri, and the commander, the army commander. It should be internal dialogue to facilitate and to solve this this issue, because if you take it with all the factions, the political factions, it will face many obstacles.
True, sir.
And,
I'll leave you there and I'll be back again. Dr. Shamea, is President Joseph Aoun's pledge of a calm dialogue sufficient to bring the deep divide over Hezbollah's arms amid escalating regional tensions?
Good afternoon. With respect to us, nothing related to dialogue tables. As previously we've tried this matter, resulted nothing. Unfortunately, in the contrary, that lead some sort of a treachery by Hezbollah. Today, President Aoun, leader Aoun, wrote a map as saying the state of Lebanon only is defending any aggression that took place in the territories of Lebanon, and any dialogue with Hezbollah, as quoting a calm dialogue, it will be bilateral dialogue between the presidency and the leaders of Hezbollah in working on to disarming the unregulated arms from this part and from any parts on the Lebanese territories, whether they are Lebanese or not Lebanese. As under the UNSC 1559 that reached 1701, and based on the mechanism of the ceasefire dated the 17th of November 2024. Hence, we should relate to solve the issue of disarmament and surrendering the unregulated arms in the hands of Hezbollah or any other parties aiming to build in a free, independent and sovereignty state. Do not participate with sovereignty with any part, either they are Lebanese or not, as the experience proved in 1969 at the time of the Cairo Agreement, with the political involvement with the PLO that led following the war, and then Syrian occupation that represent an aggression by the Christian Southern part by the assassination of President Rafik al-Hariri in 2005, and then Hezbollah to do the same missions of the coup of 2008 following the election of President Joseph Aoun. This issue was closed. Nothing left for the Southern Partnership, and it's only the Lebanese state has a sole sovereignty, and we cannot continue with double armament in Lebanon or the issue of war and peace. This is only monopolized in the hands of the Lebanese state, following the legitimate institution, as stated in his inauguration speech. Only the Lebanese state is to defend Lebanon.
Dr. Qnews, can the Lebanese army truly assert sovereignty and disarm Hezbollah without triggering internal conflict or external backlash?
It is a highly delicate process that must be handled with political wisdom and national unity. So the Lebanese army alone cannot take such actions through force, as it would risk civil strife and could destabilize the fragile balance among Lebanon's communities. Instead, the army must act as a unifying institution that upholds national sovereignty, while encouraging dialogue and reconciliation among political actors. So the process of asserting full state sovereignty must be gradual and built on consensus. So the Lebanon needs to develop a national defense strategy through inclusive dialogue that involves all major political and sectarian forces, including Hezbollah. So this approach would reduce the chances of confrontation and open the door to integrating Hezbollah's military structure into the state under a unified command, avoiding the perception of targeting a specific group. So externally, any move toward disarming Hezbollah must consider the regional dynamics, particularly Iran's influence and Israel's actions. If not coordinated with the regional and international stakeholders, such a step could trigger retaliatory responses or regional tensions. So Lebanon must secure guarantees from international actors to protect its sovereignty and stability, making the disarmament part of a broader peace and security framework.
Dr. Shamma, how does Hezbollah's insistence on addressing the Israeli military imbalance complete efforts towards state monopoly over weapons, sir?
It isn't possible for Hezbollah to continue in a status made on before the October the 8th or the agreement of 27th of November 2024 as signed on the surrender act and the handing over wherever they have from military capability to the Lebanese state, nor their leader or the to sign something and execute something another. This issue isn't acceptable to practice. Nothing named under the defense strategy as named before the era of President Joseph Aoun. The only sole strategy should be the Southern National Strategy stated in his inauguration speech when he said that the Lebanese state is to defend Lebanon, and any dialogue for the process of to involve Hezbollah factions within the Lebanese institution is absolutely rejected, as is these factions has an ideological regime. So when they are involved along with its ideology, if they wish to tackle with any political matter, ultimately we're all Lebanese and work politics. But the military policy only monopolized by the state of Lebanon, as stated by Mr. President, with respect to the balance with Israel, is established by the state of Lebanon only. President said, we've already tried war and we found its results with confrontation with Israel, as we cannot do so with respect to the military balance. Therefore, through diplomatic matters, particularly the foreign minister of Lebanon, and that has gained its status with the minister that regained the spirit of Rashan Malik, when establishment of the World Convention of Human Rights, as he gained the diplomatic Lebanon. Therefore, we should benefit of this opportunity in order to stop the bloodshed further, in aiming to reaching to liberate the occupied 5 points. With respect to the conflicted area, Shib'a and the hills are subjected to bilateral negotiations with any regime in Syria to execute 1680 resolution. Based on that, either this with the resolutions 5 and with the Israeli occupying to withdraw unless they are exposed to confrontation by Lebanese army. Therefore, any form of confrontation is absolutely rejected.
Dr. Yunus, with Lebanon's economy collapsing, how realistically is it a priority to disarm amid overlapping crises, sir?
Prioritizing disarmament in the middle of Lebanon's economic collapse, it is a complex and sensitive issue. So while restoring full state authority is important for long-term stability, most Lebanese today are focused on survival, securing basic needs like food, electricity, and healthcare. So in such a context, pushing for disarmament without first addressing the urgent economic and social crisis risks, deepening public frustration and political polarization. So disarmament, I think, and economic recovery are not entirely separate. A strong, unified state with exclusive control over arms is more likely to attract international support. International support and investments and long-term development. So many donors and allies see national sovereignty and stability as conditions for deeper engagement. So while disarmament should not come before solving immediate of a broader roadmap for rebuilding the state. So Lebanon must follow a dual track approach, stabilizing the economy while opening a serious and gradual dialogue on disarmament as part of a national recovery plan. So the timing and sequencing are essential, and the disarmament should be convinced carefully without jeopardizing fragile internal peace or ignoring the socio-economic priorities of the Lebanese people.
Dr. Shamma, what role should international actors play in supporting Lebanon's fragile quest for unity in disarmament under President Holland's vision, sir?
For the supported countries, for the new era in the state of Lebanon that sponsored such an era and to put an end of the political vacuum, to firstly support Lebanonians with respect to the security stability and then the economic stability that would lead to political stability. If that's so, the new era to move forward and then will be able in the hop of the big economic confrontation that we are approaching in this region that's based on great investment such as in energy, just as the exploration of the natural gas, as we all know that Lebanon will be at the date of new resources of energy. In order to achieve this end, the ability of the Lebanon, we should pressure those supporters to secure more stability, resilience, and stability through the pressure to execute what they agreed upon on November 27 with the full withdrawal from Lebanon and to return of all prisoners and hostages, and also to abide with the UNSC 1701, and for the Lebanese state to execute all of the international resolutions with support international community, and even if the matter would require the 7th article to execute the resolution 1701 to lose no mind to avoid any plunge to internal conflict, specifically Hezbollah and the Islamic Republic of Iran, to ignite the matter further in Lebanon and to complete its negotiations with the US. To avoid all this and to solve this problematic matter, so that for any time we should work with the sponsored countries here on November 27th to execute this agreement, through which in a clear mechanism to execute the international community, the international resolutions. And if this,
Sir, I wish you, of course, best of luck. Sorry, I'm out of time. That was Dr. Michel Chammin, political science professor and writer, and Dr. Ahmed Younes, academic researcher and political analyst. Thank you both for your special insights. Lebanon's struggle to disarm Hezbollah amid Israeli strikes and economic collapse tests its unity, diplomacy, and survival. As tensions rise, we hope that dialogue prevail over division. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank, which always unveils the complexities of our changing world. I'm Ron Khassas. Thank you very much for watching.